you are doing, you're an Islamic teacher, you're a Quran teacher. You help people memorize, and you help the people that have already memorized the Quran how to strengthen their memorization. So what even led you to become a Quran teacher? How did you yourself memorize the Quran? And yeah, just tell us a bit more about your journey towards where you are now.
Well, I started memorizing Quran with my parents. So they taught me the beginning, like Surah An-Nas, Surah Al-Fatiha, Qul Huwallahu Ahad. And then that was young, young. It was young. Yeah, about that. And then they enrolled me in a memorization program in Nevada, in Las Vegas, in Masjid Sabur, with a teacher by the name of Ustad Abdullahi from Somalia. And then after that, when we moved to Saudi Arabia, my mother enrolled me in Al-Furqan, a memorization Quran school. And the way that it's set up is that you progress in levels. So you start off learning to read, then you memorize one juz. So I went in and I studied this book, Al-Qa'idat Al-Nuraniyah. I studied this book. We start off learning how to read the letters of the alphabet. So we start off learning the letters of the alphabet, then we learn how to connect the letters, and we keep going on until we have nearly all of the rules of tajweed in recitation. So the teacher will give you a few lines every day. He'll say, read this, learn this, master this, and then read it to me. Once you master it, you can move on. And then you finish the lesson, and then you finish the book, and then the teacher will send you to the final exam for this book. And if you pass it, he'll send you on to the next level, which is to memorize Juz 30. And so on until you memorize the Quran. That's the program.
Jazakallah khair, Naeem. And from your journey, can you show us a technical way or technically how to apply the knowledge that you learned?
A technical way. This book is technicality, the whole thing. You have to learn and master the way. If you master this book, then you've mastered how to read the Quran. Like 90% of it. 90% of it, because some rules are too advanced for the students when they first begin, so they don't put them in this book. So you have 90% of the Quran you'll be able to read 90% of the Quran if you read this book, and then the others, you have to have a teacher teach you, because the Quran isn't something you can learn on your own. It has to be taught to you from a teacher. The Quran is learned through recitation of the teacher. So you learn how to read by those who teach you, and you read in the same way. That is the art of the recitation of Quran.
Okay, I'm so happy you said you had a question, because we're gonna have an advice section, and then right after that we're going to do for the Q&A. Okay. So before we wrap it up to go to the Q&A, we just want to ask everyone, or ask the presenters, what advice they would like to give to someone who wants to engage more with the Quran. For example, for me, my advice would be that my advice is to know that there is more than one way to engage with the Quran. There is, like my brother, he prefers to do memorization. My sister prefers to do tajweed. For myself, I prefer to learn like Quranic subjects like Islamic finance or business. That's my personal love when it comes to the Quran and learning how to do it right through the Islamic lens. But for Naeem and Rashida, what advice would you give to someone who wants to engage more or deepen their connection with the Quran?
My advice when it comes to wanting a deeper relationship or engaging with the Quran would be to not only have discipline, but self-motivation. When I say self-motivation, I mean you need to want to read it. You need to feel it in your heart. And that's not always easy. And it's easy to be, maybe it's not easy to be disciplined, but it's easy to read it over and over and over again. But it's different if if you feel it in your heart and you're actually understanding what the Quran is saying. And there's a verse in the Quran that says, أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. Will they not ponder on the Quran? Like, it's a miracle for a reason. It's not just something you read and you just, oh, I read it, let's put it back down. Like, it was sent down for you so you can go to Jannah, so you can be the best Muslim you can be. So actually wanting it and actually feeling it, reading the tafsir, reading what it means. Like, when I was in school and the teacher's like, okay, we're going to memorize this page. And she's like, wait, before I memorize, let's read the tafsir. We spent 4 hours taking one page of tafsir. And every moment we're like, that's what that verse means? Oh, but really? So that means that? And Allah said, oh, wow. So then we're actually reading it and we're memorizing, we actually feel it. And we're like, this is just so much more beautiful. It's so much more fulfilling when you read it, and it deepens your connection with it. The same like with prayer or like fasting. When you pray, you should pray. Okay, there's no excuses for that. Okay, but when you pray like with mindfulness, when you pray and you feel it, it gives you that sweetness of iman. And that's what everyone should strive for. So if you can do that, that would be the greatest advice I could give someone.
For Naeem, what advice would you give for someone trying to deepen or to engage more with the Quran?
As with anything, you need consistency. You have to stick with whatever you're trying to do. So I was studying the Quran for 12 years. So yeah.
We're trying, Assalamu alaikum, we're trying to eat, and the presenters are actually presenting. It's really an important topic. So I would appreciate if all the kids' tables, if you can please remain quiet, and let's respect the speakers, please. Please, all of you.
So I was practicing myself the Quran for 12 years. It took me about 6 years to get like 23 juz, or maybe 7 years to get 23 juz. I mean, not 23, I'm sorry, 7. I'm thinking until just 23. 7 juz. It took me a while. I thought I would never get past just 23. But alhamdulillah, in the last 2 years, I switched my teachers, and he was really hard on me, making me come like 6 hours every day, 5 days a week. So, and with him, I finished the rest in 2 years. I finished 23 juz. I finished the rest of the Quran with him in 2 years. So consistency, even when it looks hard, you just keep going. Said Harun.
Jazakallah khairan for that advice. So right now, we're going to start the Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be there to give you the microphone. So all you have to do is open or raise your hand so I can go to you so we can all hear your questions. But we're going to go ahead and start it. And feel free to ask any on-topic question to a specific presenter or just in general, so either of them. So yes, we'll begin right now. So if anyone has a question, they can raise their hand. If not, that's good. Okay.
When you first started, you said it was difficult defining family and community. The differential there since you pointed it out.
Okay. 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 So we're going to use this one for their questions. Are you going to like? Okay. The question was when I mentioned in the beginning that one of the challenges of being overseas in Saudi Arabia was that there was a more of a focus to families than communities. They are asking me for a clarification on that. So when I mentioned that, it's like, for example, things, if wonderful programs like this wouldn't happen overseas. It was not happening in there. But, however, if there was a Quranic thing, it'll be a family starting something. And it'll be like a family event, like all the families will get together and celebrate it. But as a community, that wasn't happening. So ta'aleems weren't really happening unless it was like in their home, like for example with my family. So it'll just be my mom, my dad, maybe some cousins, but not like the entire community, not different households. That was more rare. So that's just the way it was back there. So because of that, when we were studying the Quran, we're going to schools and then studying it with amongst ourselves. That's why I was saying that it was so important and so precious for us to be here, because we miss this. We're missing families. We miss seeing our friends and all that kind of thing, and like in a structure, Islamic structure, and not just a family structure. So that's what I meant, and that's why I'm so happy to be here today. So yes.
We have a question. We have a question.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for coming and sharing. MashaAllah, so inspirational, all you. The hard work that it took to learn the Quran is no joke. I know that for a fact. However, a lot of the times when people think of memorizing Quran, they think of little children or teenagers maybe. So I just wanted to ask you, in your studies, were there a lot of older people, or is it better to learn the Quran when you're young? Or what would you say about someone not too complex of a question, but what would you say to someone who's older and wants to learn the Quran? So I guess it's like two questions within that.
Honestly, because when I was in school, and Dar Huda specifically, the range that they wanted was 16 and over, but in the classes, it was mainly a lot of older people as well. There wasn't usually any younger people in there. Okay, I don't want to sound like that, but it was mothers bringing their children, because they had, on the side of the school, they had a little place so the children can run around, so the parents can focus. So it was a lot of mothers, a lot of grandmothers, a lot of adults, and they would come there. And I don't know if it's the culture, I don't know, but the people, when they're older, they seem to want it more, And they come there like you can't. What are you doing here? You should be laying down. It's like, no, I am going to read the Quran, and I don't care how long it takes. So they're more determined. They're more passionate about it. So honestly, I just think that's what it is. It's passion and determination. I don't think age matters in that regard, because you have people. I saw people who were like 4 or 5, memorize the whole Quran, walk around the school with this big Quran saying, I can read to you from Surah Al-Baqarah to Surah Al-Nas. And I was like, well, mashallah, good for you. And then there's, on the flip side, there's older people reciting Surah Al-Baqarah, reciting Surah Al-Nisa, reciting all these long surahs for hours on end, and listening to the teacher intently, have this big book of notes, taking all the notes they can. So I really think it's more of a passion and a drive than it is about age.
Assalamu alaikum. So it's always easy to get little kids to the masjid because the parents, they would listen and they come to the masjid, right? It's always hard to get the teenagers in. So if you look around, we don't have any teenagers. We started with like, I think 2 teenagers back in September. And they started coming in. They were actually really willing to learn. But when they found all the classes were like younger kids, they didn't want to keep on coming. And we didn't have a lot of kids so we can open a new class for them. So my question is, what can you do to help us support getting more teenagers into the classrooms and learning? Because I think this is what we're missing, that age group, 14 to 18, getting them into the classrooms.
Sound like, okay, good. Okay, so this is a really good question for me because I think that one of the best ways to get teens into learning the Quran and learning it is to go through their favorite subject. So usually with Quran, like there are so many different subjects discussed in the Quran. So for me, when I was really, really young, I wasn't good at memorization. Luckily, I'm working on it, and I was good at tilawa, but I just needed an interest, because usually the problem is interest. So for me, when I was younger, I was in love with anything with business. I was in love with it. So when I was learning about it, I remember my dad, I believe, or some kind of library, they had a book about Islamic finance. And then they'll keep on quoting the Quran. They kept on going back to the Quran. So, and then it made me even want to like memorize it, maybe want to read it. But even so, for me, what got me into it was that subject. I wouldn't have to learn the subject, but for me to be able to link it back to the Quran made me want to learn it even more. Because yes, so that's what helped me. And there's even like how to dress in the Quran. So if you like how to wear your abaya or something like that, that's also there. So there's just so many different subjects. But usually the problem is interest. So once you have that interest and you have that community, for me it was like my teachers, like all the teachers that stood up earlier today, it really touched me. So it's those 2 things. So that's the best I can say. But yes, thank you so much for asking that question. I enjoyed answering it.
Assalamu alaikum. I got a question for Rashida and also for Naeem. Now, Rashida, why are you laughing? Can you share, like, how did you even make the cut to get into Darhuda? Because you were I think you're one of the youngest students in the entire school. So I want to know how that happened. And then Sharif, Naeem, when you have a chance, if you can share maybe 1 or 2 lines of the Qaida to Nuraniya, since I passed them out to everyone, if you can take them through a little exercise on that as well, I would be appreciative.
It's your dad talking, so.
Okay. Because, like I said, at a young age, I would be able to memorize the Quran quite easy. I would just read it. I was like, if I read it like maybe 5-10 times, be like, okay, I'm good. I think I have it down. And so I started with Furqan first. So the memorization came before I went to Darhuda and learned Tajweed and all of that. So when I went to take the assessment to get inside the school, I already knew what the Quran was supposed to sound like. So because they do base what level you go to based on the Tajweed and how you do read. So when I sat down, I was like, okay, she told me read this page from this surah, and I read it. She was like, huh, you know that means that. I was like, I just hear it, and I know how it sounds. She was like, are you sure you want to take this course? Because it is a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's a 4-year curriculum. I was 12. Understandably, she asked if I was sure I wanted to do it. And I was like, yeah, I think I can handle it. And she was like, okay, if you really think you can. And I spent next 4 years in that school, and it was the best 4 years of my life till this day. So it was quite fun.
All right. Then. The first page. Yeah, this page. Yeah, page 6. Okay. So, after I memorized the Quran, I strengthened my memorization with my teachers, and then I took the final exam with Furqan, the place where I memorized Quran, and I passed the exam. So they said, we're going to train you and we'll hire you. So they hired me, and then they said, if you want to work, get a certification in this book. So I took after that. Yeah. Yeah. They told me it's better. So I did a 10-day course in this book. I passed the exam with 90%. That's the lowest. The lowest you can get is 90. So I got 90% in the thing, and they gave me a certificate in teaching this book. طيب. So this is the first lesson. We start off with Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You can, let's repeat. Yes, sir. All right, just turn this off. All right, okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. الدرس الأول حروف الهجاء المفردة حروف الهجاء المفردة ألف باء تاء ثاء جيم حاء خاء دال ذال را ذا سين شين صاد ضاد طاء ظا عين غين فاء قاف كاف لام ميم نون واو هاء همزة يا That's the first lesson.
When you said you guys had different experience, did you guys mean like you like all had like different strategies on learning Arabic?
Yes, it does. Because we all went to the same school, except for him. He didn't go to Darhuda because he's not a girl, so he didn't go there. But we all went to the same school. But in the same school, we all had different experiences because, like Baina said, she was more towards Islamic finance or tafsir. She found that more interesting than I did. And Naeem, he's been always great at memorization. And I personally found an amazing experience in Tajweed. So we did go to the same schools, but we did have different experiences. So like way we approached it was different from each other.
Assalamu alaikum. The schools you went to, were they English-speaking teachers or were they speaking Arabic with you?
Okay, so all the schools that we went to for Darhuda, they had both an Arabic section, an English section, and an Urdu section. So for us, we all went to the English section, and the last year, so there's 4 years, so the first 3 years were in English, and the last year they wanted us to study in Arabic. Right. Great. It's been a while. So for Naeem, his school is, they may have English teachers or teachers that speak English, but that's not a requirement. So for him, it's an Arabic school. So mostly all the teachers speak Arabic. So yes.
Were there any challenges like language barriers with like communicating with other people?
Yes. At first, it was so difficult because obviously you're going to a country and nobody understands what you're saying. So it was very difficult at first. But the the good thing about it is that because you're in a place where everyone just speaks Arabic, you get to learn it a lot quicker because you have to communicate with everyone. So it was challenging at first, but then we started learning so quickly. So then we realized, like, at first everyone just sounded like you didn't understand them. But then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I didn't know that word. And then then I was able to learn like 90% of what everyone was saying. So it was challenging at first, but afterwards it became really easy. So thank you for your question.
Assalamu alaikum. I wanted to know, as an African American going to Saudi Arabia, and also with they opened their borders. They have the new vision 2024, 2025. Did you see a change in education for the women? Was it more easier for them to get out and go, or did you experience some of the things that not like Dubai, but any other places? Did you experience some hindrance?
Okay, so necessarily, I'm not sure if you mean like Islamically or academically, but you mean Islamically or academic? Both. I can't really speak for the academic side, considering I went to mainly Quran schools and I did academics online, so I can't really speak for the academic side. But Islamically, like Islamic education, there's international and then there's local, because as an African American, if you go to a masjid, like I went to the masjid in between when I wasn't in school at all, I went to my local masjid, Masjid Rahma, and I would go, and they were like, do you want to learn the Quran? I was like, yeah, I do want to learn the Quran. They're like, okay, we have a course set up that's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can come. We'll get you a certificate if you finish. You'll memorize this juz. And I'm like, how is it free? It's like, no, you have to pay, but still. And it's like when the people see someone that's not usually from there try to learn the Quran, they just seem so happy and so welcoming, like, oh, you want to learn the Quran? Don't worry, we'll teach you everything we know. And like that's like for the masjids or like their neighbors even. So on a local level, I think it's really great because it's first you get the language, like, okay, because a lot of people there maybe don't speak English to a very high degree, obviously, but there's always, you'll find at least one person in the masjid that you can understand and communicate with, on a good level. And so with that, it's like, okay, you can really technically go anywhere. Like, I went to a masjid I've never been to before, and they're like, on Jummah, we have classes. You could just come anytime you want. We have tea. We have food. Just come. They want you to be there, and they want you to engage with it. And if you're talking about internationally, like schools, then also they have a lot of good schools like Dar Huda. They have Tayyiba University. Like, they want you there. Like, they seem so happy for you to be there and to learn. So Islamically, an Islamic level, because again, I'm not sure academically, I'm sorry, but I think it's a really great place to learn, because then you're next to Mecca, you're next to Medina, you have Arabic people teaching you, and you learn so much, even if you're not in school. Like, the ladies at the masjid will lecture you about so many things you didn't know before. Like, you'll be praying, somebody would do something in prayer, and as soon as the prayer's over, like, people of the masjid, you should not do this. You should do that, okay? And then the next prayer we do, everybody does it properly. So it's really like, it's very, very welcoming to people when they want to learn about the Quran and Islam.
Yeah, and also to add on to that, women, like, there are so many schools just for women. Like, men, you're not allowed. Bye-bye. So there's lots of Quran schools just for women. There's Islamic universities that are just for women. And it's just that when I find like other Muslims, especially Muslim women within like Saudi Arabia, they're all very, very passionate about it. So even in their house, they want to have classes and stuff like that. So yes, so everything Rashida said, and just like having that also that bit of context. Thank you for asking, by the way.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to ask Rashida, I invited some of my students here, and they were not here when you recited. So would you be able to recite a little something just to inspire some of my students that are here, and they drove all the way from LA? Jazakallah khair.
Okay. All right. I'll recite the same verses I recited earlier, and inshallah it will be worthwhile. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إذ قال له ربه أسلم قال أسلمت لرب العالمين ووصى بها إبراهيم بنيه ويعقوب يا بني إن الله اصطفى لكم الدين فلا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أم كنتم شهداء إذ حضر يعقوب الموت إذ قال لبنيه ما تعبدون من بعدي قالوا نعبد إلهك وإله آبائك إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق إلها واحدا ونحن له مسلمون تلك أمة قد خلت لها ما كسبت ولكم ما كسبتم ولا تسألون عما كانوا يعملون.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي نزل الفرقان على عبده ليكون للعالمين نذيرا الذي له ملك السماوات والأرض ولم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له شريك في الملك وخلق كل شيء فقدره تقديرا واتخذوا من دونه آلهة لا يخلقون شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يملكون لأنفسهم ضرا ولا نفعا ولا يملكون موتا ولا حياة ولا نشورا وقال الذين كفروا إن هذا إلا إفك افتراه وأعانه عليه قوم آخرون فقد جاءوا ظلما وزورا.
Assalamu alaikum. So I have two questions. The answers for the questions are for the parents in this room and the children in this room. So I want you guys to key in on the answers. So first question is to Sister Bayina. You used the word tilawa. For those of us that don't know what that means, could you explain? And then the second question is, in particular, I'd like Sister Rashida and young Sharif to answer. Could you share with the community something you learned of inspiration, like maybe a hadith or something, of the merit of the one who recites or the student who goes to the circles for recitation or for Quran, or even for the parents, for the child who completes it? What is pleasing with their Lord? What has their Lord said, or what is promised to these people who embark on this journey as a means of inspiration for this community?
Okay. For the first part of the question, tilawa just means the reading of the Quran. So there's memorization, there is a tajweed, which is the science of how to read it, and tilawa is just the reading of the actual Quran. So like when you're opening up the book and you're reading the verses, that would be considered tilawa.
Okay, so I am paraphrasing because it's a dangerous thing to like misquote a hadith or something. So there is a hadith, paraphrasing, that says for every letter that you read, you get, inshallah, 10 hasanat, I want to say. And it was like, oh, alif lam mim, no, alif 10 hasanat, lam 10 hasanat, mim 10 hasanat. And let's be honest, we all need the hasanat. we strive to be the best Muslims we can be, but we're always in need of Allah's blessings. And I want to say there is a hadith about a person who, if your son or your daughter or your child memorized the Quran, what?
So, as for a hadith, then there are two hadiths. One hadith that I looked up that is authentic or it's acceptable is that the one who memorizes the Quran himself will be given a crown. The one who memorizes the Quran himself will be given a crown. And he will have the pleasure of his Lord. The one who memorizes the Quran himself will receive a crown. And he will receive the pleasure of his Lord. But it has conditions. It has conditions. You're not going to get a free ticket. You memorize the Quran, okay, you have to act on what's inside. You have to act on what's inside. And for that, you need to know the meanings of the Quran. You learn the meanings, you act on it, and you memorize it, and you receive the reward. But if you just memorize it, then you have the reward of what you memorized it for. If you memorized it for fame, that's your reward. People called you whatever, that's what you receive, that's all you get. You don't get anything else. If you memorized it for Allah, you will receive His reward.
Any more questions? We're not going to go over there. I'm going to help you guys out. I'm going to ignore that part, all right?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I wanted to know if you guys participated in any Quran competitions and how that helped you with memorization. Or if it was like too much, maybe anxiety or something. You know. So, shukran.
Okay. Me personally, I competed in, I think, 3 different competitions. Because in the school that I went to, they have annual competitions, and my teacher's like, "You're good at memorization. You should enroll." I was like, "I don't know." She signed me up. She didn't tell me, but she put my name on the thing, and I had to compete. So there was 3 different competitions. One, it was for Tajweed competition. So there are certain rules in Tajweed, and they're written in Arabic. So the competition was who can memorize the most rules and write it down, and that person gets a prize. I didn't win. Needless to say, I was like, there was 33 positions. I came in 4th place because I messed up on one of the rules. The second competition was the Hifd competition, memorization. You had to memorize Surah Al-Sajda and Surah Al-Luqman. And there's 3 stages to the competition. One, you recite with your class, and they'll take the best from that classroom, and then they'll take from that class whoever did pass, because some people did. You have 3 mistakes, and then you're out of the competition. So then they took all the classes people who did pass, and they competed with each other. Half the people were gone. I managed to be one of the people left in my classroom. And then for the last stage, you're going upstairs to the auditorium in front of the whole school, and the principal of the school sitting right next to you, and you recite. And they're judging you on how you read, how much you read, how fast, how slow. So I was like, this is nerve-wracking. But I sat down, I read it, and there was only 10 spots, and there was I think it was 20 of us left. So half of us were going to get it, half of us weren't. And I managed to get 6th place in that competition. So that was nice. And the last competition was a tartil competition, which is beautification, like who could recite the Quran in the most beautiful voice. And that was a tough competition. All my classmates have beautiful voices, and it's so sweet when you hear them recite. I was like, I don't know if I can compete with that. But once again, my teacher signed me up and didn't tell me. So it was either go to the principal and tell her I didn't sign up, or just do it. So I sat down, because this one was different from the other competitions. You just had one chance. You sat in the principal's office in front of the principal, and you have to read from anywhere in the Quran. There's no specific place. She just opens the book and tells you to read. I didn't know the surah she picked, so I was like, okay, just do your best. I didn't win. I didn't even come close to winning. But it was a good experience nonetheless. So those are the competitions that I entered. Thank you for your question.
I participated in one real Quran competition from the Ministry of Education in Saudi. They were taking students from high schools and middle schools and gathering all the students. Whoever wanted to participate in the Quran competition, they sign you up. So I signed up with my teacher, and there were levels. You passed the first level, preliminaries, and then you go to, after they kick out some people, the next stage, and then kick out the rest, and then you have the last stage. So in the first stage, I got maybe the first or the second in international schools, and then the next one I lost. So, alhamdulillah.
Mike,
Try and do it.
Can you repeat that so people?
Yeah, the Quran competitions is good. If you memorize the Quran, then you just put it on the shelf and you're forgetting it. Go in the Quran competition, sign up, so you'll practice everything and try to get it as best as you can. So you'll have it with you for a while longer, inshallah.
I agree, because although I didn't sign up my own accord, I didn't really want to. When I did do it, because sometimes you need pressure to really realize how much you can do. Because I was like, I don't think I can memorize 2 surahs in like a week, like they're trying to make me do. And then I was like, you know what? I can't mess up. I got to do it. So then I realized, I can memorize a lot more than I thought I could. So it also helps with nerves. It helps with realizing you can do a lot more than you think you can. So I think it's good.
He said he told me that he was gonna give me some cake. So.
Assalamu alaikum. I just have a question for the panel. Now that you've achieved with the Quran what you've achieved, what is your plans for the future? What's the next steps? What are your next steps?
Okay, so for me, my future plans, I mentioned earlier that I'm obsessed with business. So my future plans is to actually study some Islamic finance, and I definitely want a master's in Islamic finance as well. So, and also to start running business with Islamic finance, with Islamic principles, because a lot of the times in business, people that are my age that are Muslim, that are trying to be entrepreneurs, they like to look at what the majority of people are doing, which is using interest or trying to do things that aren't in an Islamic manner, because that's what everyone else is doing. But I would really love to be one of those Muslim entrepreneurs that are using the Islamic principles that are listed in the Quran and also in the Sunnah as well. So that's something that I want to do and continue to do. And yes, that's what my future plans are, is to continue Islamic finance studies and get a master's in it, and also using the principles myself and and getting up in that manner.
I've mentioned before that I was working on writing a Tajweed book series catered more towards children, so it's so they can be knowledgeable about it from early on, and when they're older, even if they don't exactly know how or why, but they know how the Quran is supposed to be read properly. And I'm working on it currently, and with something like the Quran and Islam, you don't really want to spread misinformation. You want it to be as accurate as possible. So I've been trying to I've been asking my teachers, can you read this over, make sure this is accurate and this is true, and so I don't mess up anything. And they're like, yeah, this is good. You should change that, though. Change that. So I've been working and editing with my teachers. And inshallah, I do want to have it published like beginning of next year or in the middle of next year, inshallah. And each book is supposed to cover one rule, because I don't want to overwhelm the poor children. They seem stressed out. So that would be the goal for that, for my writing, because I do enjoy writing a lot of stuff for the writing. But if for the Quran, because I do know a lot about Tajweed, I do know a lot of this stuff, but memorization has been an on and off thing with me, because it's, like Naeem said, it's consistency. And was I consistent? I'm not going to lie, I wasn't. So the next step with the Quran would be to memorize the Quran, because I know that I know the Tajweed, now that I know the Tafsir, and I want to be able to memorize it, so now I can feel it, I can understand it, I know how to read it properly, then I would feel better now memorizing the Quran. So that would be the next step for me, for the Quran and the writing.
As for me, I wish to study Arabic language. I want to study and master the Arabic language, and I want to continue to get higher in my recitation of the Quran. Because even if I'm a teacher, I may be on a level higher than my students, but I'm not on the level of my teachers. So I want to go to their levels, I want to go beyond. So I want to continue to read on other teachers, go from teacher to teacher, and improve myself in the Quran and improve my students, inshallah.
Are there any other questions left? Okay, great.
Sound like me again. So will you stay here as a resource for this community, or your plans to go back to Saudi? And I just want to acknowledge your mother. She is an amazing mother. Sister Rashida. Sister Rashida, mother. Brother Naeem, Sister, I want to acknowledge you. You're amazing. You did, no, and your wife, Sister Rashida. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you. And, but will you stay here and be resources for us, or will you return to Saudi?
For me, I'm actually planning to come back here because right now I'm studying business. I'm studying business administration with a emphasis in hospitality. So right now I'm studying that, and then when I come back, I plan to finish those studies, and then I have to go back to get my Islamic studies master's. But I always plan to come back here and use my knowledge to kind of also be with one of those people that are making an example on how to do Islamic finance well. And I feel like it's a need here. So, and also I want to be with my family. I want to be with my community. I want to be with the people that I grew up with. And it's very important for me, community and family. So it's a priority for me to come back. Okay.
Yeah, okay, so me personally, we're gonna leave back soon. Obviously, it's only here for a week. But when I do finish, because I have 1 year of high school left, and then I think maybe 2-3 years after that, I'm gonna be inside. Want to attend this Islamic university that's over there, possibly get a degree in Islamic studies. And then I'm going to come back here for school, for college. So I will be coming back, inshallah, after that. Yes, it will be in English. There will have text in Arabic, but of course it'll come with the meaning as well. But mainly it's in English, yes.
Well, yeah, I want to go back to study, continue studying. Inshallah.
Thank you for your question. We enjoyed answering it.
You want to go and shoot? I don't think we have any more questions. Hold on 1 second.
But inshallah, we do want to introduce the parents. Naeem Shah Jr. We want to introduce the parents. Stand up. Please give a round of applause for these parents. But for the whole family. Alhamdulillah. You'll go to the stage for a moment. Again, you know, this is third generation Muslim family that is doing so inspirational work for all of us. And like Brother Naeem to share a few words, inshallah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'm just really, subhanAllah, I'm truly grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. You know, you never know, you really don't know the outcome of your efforts, but you just try to be consistent in what you're doing as an example, and you let Allah do what Allah does. And Allah put the love of the Quran in the children. He put the love of the Quran in my wife's heart, and because of her, she was very intentional about making sure that the children had the Quran, the curriculum, more than myself. And they said that the parents, that they learned it from us, but she was their first teacher. She taught them, and before they came out into the world, she was reciting Quran to them while they were in the womb. So I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for her and her efforts and seeing that dwindle down to the children and their own personal commitments, because I always tell them the best companion in this life and the next is the Quran. You should never leave the company of the book because it's a shield for us. It will be an intercessor when we have no friends, no family, no neighbors in a time when we need it most in the hereafter. But you gotta struggle with it in this life. So I'm grateful for the family. I'm really thankful for Imam for allowing us to be here at Masjid Sharif, and inshallah we'll be back. And that was a good question, Sister Renee. We're not doing all of this work and the children not to benefit the community. You guys have a right over us, and we hope that any knowledge Allah blesses us with as a family, it'll also pass along to the community. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Just to echo what my husband said, the biggest thing for us, was, for our babies to be able to learn from this beautiful book, to not only learn it, but learn the meaning of it, trying to apply it. All of those things make the experience more holistic. Like my son said, you can learn the Quran but not know the meaning. You may not live it. And so we're just grateful that they had the holistic experience of being able to, the practicality of the Quran, because it's not just about memorizing. So, alhamdulillah, we're just grateful. And, it started with dua. So definitely don't underestimate the power of dua. Because that's really where it started for us. SubhanAllah, he was saying I was reciting in the womb. I don't know about that, but it definitely was intentional. Just having a plan for our children from a very young age, for them to go on this journey. And so, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed it to happen, and we're grateful. And inshallah, Allah will continue to bless them and cultivate them, and inshallah, bless them to benefit from it as well. Inshallah.
Also, thank you all for the wonderful questions and you guys and your participation. It was so fun, and it was the most exciting part, honestly, for me. And also, my brother wanted to end off with a video. Yes. So, yes. Yeah. Okay, so the brother's going to put it up. But again, we'd like to thank the community of Masjid al-Sharif for making us feel at home and for making us feel welcome and to give us that community that we wanted so badly. So thank you so much for hosting us and making this possible. Yes.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Thank everybody for coming. MashaAllah. What's still so wonderful? Our whole family is here. But this is our family. This is our family from Jeddah. So when we went to Jeddah, Grandma and Grandpa went to Jeddah. The Shah family took us under their wing, and they helped us the entire time we were in Jeddah, and they babied us like we were the grandparents. So this is our family from Jeddah, and we're just so thankful that they honored us by coming here and bringing their kids so all of you could see them, because it's really an accomplishment. So thank you guys for coming, and thank you, Shaw family, for honoring us.
Okay, this is the video just to show like the journey of learning the Quran. So, so Jazakallah khairan again for everyone for coming here and also for making us feel welcome. And Jazakallah khairan for making this such a wonderful program to be here and to have done. So thank you so much. Jazakallah khair.
We want to thank the Shah family for such a beautiful presentation. Hopefully one day our youth could be where you are at. And hopefully one day you can come and support our community as well grow. Because I think you actually bring it from both worlds, being a lot of our youth are actually first generation immigrants. So they are in between that American identity versus the Muslim identity. So I think you bring a lot of well-versed experience for them. So thank you so much for being here. Okay, last but not least, we do have one of our mothers who want to recite a couple of ayahs from the Quran and make our final dua. And with that, I want to thank you all before we leave it with her. هديك الميكروفون. امسك لك.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. اللهم لك الحمد والشكر كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك ولك الحمد والشكر على قدر عظمتك وجلالك وقدرك يا ربي. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم أنت ربنا لا إله إلا أنت خلقتنا ونحن أماتك بني عبيدك نواصينا بيديك ماض فينا حكمك عدل فينا قضاؤك. نسألك اللهم يا ربي بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وجلاء همنا وأحزاننا ونور عقولنا وقلوبنا وقبورنا. اللهم يسر به أمورنا وادفع به شرورنا ونور به عقولنا وقلوبنا وقبورنا يا ربي. اللهم علمنا ما جهلنا منه ذكرنا ما نسينا منه ألبسنا به الحلل واسكنا به الظلل واجعله شاهدا لنا ولا شاهدا علينا. اللهم ارزقنا حفظه وتجويده وتلاوته وترتيله والعمل به آناء الليل وأطراف النهار على الوجه الذي يرضيك يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم اغفر لنا ما قدمنا وما أخرنا وما أسررنا وما أعلنا أعلنا وما أسرفنا وما أنت أعلم به منا. أنت المقدم وأنت المؤخر، لا إله إلا أنت. اللهم أعنا واهدينا على ذكرك وشكرك وحسن عبادتك. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين نسألك يا رب رحمة من عندك تهدي بها قلوبنا وتغفر ذنوبنا وتستر عيوبنا وتزكي أعمالنا وتصلح غائبنا وترد إلفتنا وتحصمنا يا رب من كل سوء. نسألك إيمانا ويقينا ليس بعده كفر، ورحمة ننال بها شرف كرامتك في الدنيا والآخرة. نسألك يا رب الفوز في العطاء ونزل الشهداء وعيش السعداء والنصر على الأعداء. يا رب تنصرنا وتجبرنا على من عادانا وعلى من ظلمنا يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. نسألك خشيتك في الغيب والشهادة وكلمة الحق في الرضا والغضب والغصب في الغنى والفقر يا ربي. نسألك نعيما لا ينفد، غرة عين لا تنقطع، وبرد العيش بعد الموت، ولذة النظر إلى وجهك الكريم والشوق إلى لقائك في غير ضراء مضرة ولا فتنة مضلة. اللهم يا رب زينا بزينة الإيمان واجعلنا هداة مهتدين. اللهم نشهد أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك، وأن محمدا عبدك ورسولك. يا رب نسألك عيشة هنية وميتة سوية ومردا غير مخزن ولا فاضح. يا رب نسألك الفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار يا عزيز يا غفار. نسألك خير المسألة ونعوذ بك من شر المنزلة. اللهم أسلل سخائم صدورنا ونور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان. يا رب نسألك أن نلقاك وأنت راض عنا وغافر لنا. اللهم يا رب ما كان لك علينا فاغفره لنا وارض عنا وتب علينا يا رب، وما كان لعبادك علينا فتحمله عنا واغفر لنا وارض عنا وتب علينا يا رب. تجعل لنا يا رب من كل ضيق مخرج، ومن كل عسر يسر، ومن كل هم فرج، ومن كل ألم ومرض الشفاء وعافية. اللهم يا شافي يا معافي أنت الشافي، لا شفاء إلا شفاك، شفاء لا يغادر سقما. اللهم يا رب تشفي كل مريض فينا يا أرحم الراحمين، تنزل رحمتك علينا يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم يا رب تجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا محصوما وتفرغنا من بعده تفرغا محصوما، ولا تجعل فينا شقيا ولا مظلوما يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا دينا إلا قضيته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا كربا إلا نفذته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته، ولا مريضا إلا شفيته. اللهم يا شافي يا معافي. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. يا الله تنزل رحمتك على مرضانا أجمعين يا أرحم الراحمين، تشفيهم وتعافيهم وتقويهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين، وكل من أوصانا بالدعاء. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين نسألك يا رب رحمة من عندك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين رحمة يا أرحم الراحمين قبل الموت وبعد الموت يا أرحم الراحمين، وذلك شهادة يا أرحم الراحمين عند الموت، ومغفرة بعد الموت يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. نسألك يا أرحم الراحمين السلامة من كل إثم، والغنيمة من كل بر، والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار يا عزيز يا غفار. نسألك خير المنزلة ونعوذ بك من شر المنزلة. اللهم أسلل السخائم صدورنا ونور قلوبنا بنور الإيمان. نسألك أن نلقاك وأنت راض عنا وغافر لنا يا ربي. ما كان لك علينا فاغفره لنا وارض عنا وتب علينا، وما كان لعبادك علينا فتحمله عنا واغفر لنا وارض عنا وتب علينا يا ربي. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار، وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه، إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد. اللهم يا مغلب الأبصار والقلوب ثبت قلوبنا على دينك وعلى طاعتك، واصلحنا واهدينا وارض عنا وارضينا واعف عنا وعافنا، واغفر لنا ولوالدينا ولكل من له حق علينا يا رب. اغفر لوالدينا وارحمهما كما ربيانا صغارا يا رب. اغفر لهم وارحمهم واغسلهم من خطاياهم بالماء والثلج والبرد، ونقهم من خطاياهم كما ينقى الثوب الأبيض من الدنس. واغفر لنا وارحمنا إذا صرنا إلى ما صاروا إليه يا رب. تغمدهم برحمتك واسكنهم فسيح جناتك مع الصديقين والشهداء والصالحين، واجعل قبورهم روضات من رياض الجنة، ولا تجعلهم من أصحاب الفردوس، واجعلهم من أصحاب الفردوس الأعلى يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا رب لا تحرمنا أجرهم ولا تفتنا بعدهم، وارزقنا برهم. اللهم اوزعنا يا رب أن نشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علينا وعلى والدينا، وأن نعمل صالحا ترضاه، واصلح لنا في ذرياتنا، وادخلنا يا رب برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين يا أرحم الراحمين. الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين، ظلمنا أنفسنا ظلما كثيرا ولا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت، فاغفر لنا يا رب مغفرة من عندك وارحمنا إنك أنت الغفور الرحيم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين، تقبل دعانا ولا تخيب رجانا يا مولانا يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. نسألك من خير ما سألك منه عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، ونعوذ بك من شر ما استعاذ به منك عبدك ونبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. نسألك من كل خير خزائنه بيدك، ونعوذ بك من كل شر خزائنه بيدك. نعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع، ومن قلب لا يخشع، ومن نفس لا تشبع، ومن عين لا تدمع، ومن دعوة لا يستجاب لها. اللهم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين، تجعله يا أرحم الراحمين عملا صالحا مبرور، ودعاء مقبول، وذنبا مغفور، وتجارة لن تبور يا عزيز يا غفور. اللهم لك الحمد فيما قضيت، ولك الشكر على ما أحطيت يا رب. خلقتنا ورزقتنا وأطعمتنا وسقيتنا وكسوتنا وآويتنا ومن كل ما سألناك رب أعطيتنا. لك الحمد يا رب حمدا يوافي النعم ويشفي السقم ويزيل الألم ويزيد النعم يا أرحم الراحمين يا رب العالمين. سبحانك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى بيته الطيبين وأصحابه الغر الميامين، وعلى من والاه إلى يوم الدين، صلاة وتسليما كثيرا عدد خلقك ورضا نفسك وزنة عرشك ومداد كلماتك. الحمد لله حمدا طيبا كثيرا مباركا.
Assalamu alaikum. Dr. Salam wants to make an introduction.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. A pleasure to be a part of this very special, important event today. I'm Dr. Chandra Salam. I sit on the board here at Masjid Al-Sharif. I'm one of the archivists for the Imam Harun and Luella Abdullah Archive Islamic Library. But as the president of the African American History and Culture Foundation, it's the end of the year and we do have scholarships. I would like Mikhail Elijah Muhammad to come forward. He just graduated from the University of Irvine. I think, did you go to San Jose State? Okay, I remember when you said your dad had to tell you to, be on point. No, anyway, we generally like to give some small scholarships at the end of the year. We have one for a high school student and one for Mikhail. As I stated, he graduated in computer engineering. He went to Antelope Community College, saved some money for 2 years, graduated in physics and mathematics. His grandfather, Malik, Carmen, his grandmother, his mother, Andrea. But on behalf of the African American History and Culture Foundation, we do want to present Mikhail with a $500 award. And if any of you know of any job leads or whatever, he's been a part of our program, mentoring, internship, and many, many things in the community. And we always want our students to know that the community stands behind them with support. So, Mikhail, you don't have to speak if you...
what would you like for me to say?
No, just greet the people.
Okay. Well, I guess, assalamu alaikum, everybody. My name is, thank you. My name is Mikhail Elijah Muhammad. As she said, I graduated with computer engineering, and even though this is my bachelor's degree, I do want to attend graduate school, and I also want to help my younger siblings who are planning to attend college as well. I think I learned a lot throughout my journey, both as a student and as a person. I think I've had a lot of growth over these last few years, and I'd also like to use my degree to give back to the community. So if there's anything I'm able to do for any of you or any of your children or any relatives or any friends, please let me know, and I'll try to leverage my network to the best of my ability. With that said, I hope you all have had a blessed day so far. And I'll keep it brief. So thank you very much for the award. Thank you, Aunt Chandra.
Jazakallah khairan. That ends the program. We'll now go and make Salatul Asr. And thank everybody for being here. Thank the parents. Thank the young people for all of their commitment, their dedication. May Allah continue to bless them and bless us through them. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I also like to welcome Imam Saeed from Masjid al-Salam for always being here and supporting us, and all of the others who've come from different communities. Again, we're so glad Brother Yababa has joined us, and inshallah looking forward to his participation with the community as he's settling in. Alhamdulillah.